We tend to think that being educated has to do with having higher education. But actually, being a person who is well educated has to do with so many other things than just going to school and get good grades. In today's video, I'm going to give you those 10 things that tell you that you are well educated and refined. My dear elegant ladies, welcome back to a new video. First things first, this video is not about pretending that we are well educated when in reality we're not and we're just putting on a show. No. This video is made as guidance for you to understand what things you should do in life to enrich yourself and become a better version of yourself. And this leads me to the first point, because the first point is all about pretending that you are well educated when in reality you're not. And I think we all have met those types who love to show how intelligent and smart they are. They discuss specific topics just to show off their whatever intelligence. Or let's say when they use fancy language or use words that deep down, you probably understand that they probably don't even know half of what they're saying, what it actually means. The point is that when you are trying too hard to be something, usually you are overcompensating for something that you're really not. So if you're there trying to show the whole world that you are so smart and so intelligent, most likely everybody's gonna see through that you're not. Point number 2. What gives away education in someone is when they have had variety in life, not when they have just done the same old thing year in and year out. It gives a person a lot of depth when they have had life experiences, when they have done loads of different types of things. It gives them substance. And all of these things is part of a well-educated person. So yes, you can be the best performing student in school, but if you haven't had experience in life, are you really that educated? For this reason, ladies, I really do recommend that you always keep trying new things in life, because that's going to enrich your life experiences. Don't be that person who stops in personal growth by just doing the same old thing year in and year out. Point number 3. We're going to continue talking a little bit more about variety, because this one actually deserves its own point. I'm talking about having variety in the places that you visit around the world. So someone who is well-traveled is definitely going to be a well-educated person, because you have been exposed to different countries, different cultures, different religions, different minds and ways of doing things. It's not necessarily about how many countries you visited, because you can have only visited a few countries, but if every place have always been different, that means you are seeking out education of learning and understanding different types of people and countries as well. Now compare it as an example to some rich kid born into a very wealthy family, but all they see is always the same thing. St. Barts for winter, Aspen for ski, Saint-Tropez in summer, and maybe an odd city break in between. Is that person truly well educated, or is a person educated when they have really experienced the real world? Point number 4. I think we all know that being well-read definitely equals being educated. And there is this kind of stereotype that we have to have read all the classics, you have to have read Dostoevsky, Kafka, Shakespeare, etc., etc. But the truth is that even though, yes, you should read classics, but what about also the things that you are truly interested in? I think there's always this list of, yes, to be smart, you must have read these titles. But I do think it's important to have, again, variety in the things that you read, but also read the things that you are truly passionate about, truly interested in. Maybe your biggest passion is psychology or art or history or gardening. Why not just go all in on those topics that you really like? Because I think that's going to motivate one to also read more than always having to feel the pressure that you have to have done this or done that. But one thing is for sure, whether you are reading a traditional book or if, let's say, you're tuning into an audiobook, it is important to keep feeding your brain with new information, in particular information that makes sense for you. This way you keep enriching yourself, your mind, you're getting new creative ideas or new ideas in general, and it is so important for your own development, but also to have things to talk to people about in your social life. Otherwise, you always stay the same, and that's no fun. Number 5. An educated person definitely has some form of hobbies or activities or interests going on for themselves. I'm sure you have met people where you find that, okay, you're trying to have a conversation with them and you're not really sure what to talk to them about because they don't seem to be doing much in their life. And it's okay. Not everyone has to be an overachiever, overperformer, and always be doing loads of things. There is a charm with people who are a little bit more laid back too. But then there comes this limit where people are so laid back, they literally fill their lives with absolutely nothing. Well, besides the basics of Netflix and chill, eating and going to work. I'm not saying that, everyone should have at least, 5, 6, 7 activities going on for themselves or interest, but have at least one thing that you are passionate about or interested in, that you dedicate some time of your week to. It's going to give you more depth as a person. Again, you're going to have more things to talk to people about, but it's also so incredibly healthy for your mind, for your soul. When you are doing something you have that true desire for, it's going to stimulate you in a way not even the best show on Netflix can stimulate you that good. Number 6. An educated person is regularly attending cultural events. Now again, we don't want to just do cultural events just for show, just that we seem educated and smart. We want to attend those events that we are truly passionate about. So for this reason, I would like to tell you, what are those for you? If you don't know, then maybe you should start trying out a little bit of everything and this way discover what you truly like. Me personally, I love going and seeing a good ballet, a good opera, a nice musical, or just going to the theater in general. Every time I do such activity, I always leave with so much creativity, new ideas, and I just find it to be an amazing source for inspiration. But the point is that you shouldn't just be doing these activities like once in a blue moon. The point is being consistent and doing it regularly. Let's say you have one day a month where you dedicate that day to going to a museum, going to an art gallery, going to the theater, doing something else that is very cultural in your city. Culture is important for our creativity, but also, like I said, for our inspiration. And when you are inspired, you grow as a person. Point number 7. So this one deserves a little quick story time because I grew up not in a fancy area where I used to live back home in Sweden. I grew up in the suburbs, but not like in the high-end suburbs, more like in the mid to low-end type of suburbs. That means I went to some really average public school, where education wasn't really the highest level. Now I wanted to level up, so when it was time for me to enter high school, I decided that I wanted to study in the city center and go to a really nice and kind of fancy type of high school. I was able to get in because I had good grades. But once my semester started, I realized that, wow, the education here is on a completely different level than kind of the low-level type of education that I have been used to. What was very interesting at this elite high school that I now went to is that they were teaching me analytical thinking. And that's something that I quickly realized, that in my previous schools, there was no pressure of having your own analytical thinking going for yourself. But here, they were teaching it to me in a way where they were encouraging you to use your mind and use your analytical mind. And a person who is well educated, they always practice analytical thinking. An educated person would therefore always try to analyze answers in their own mind and draw conclusions. And that's something that high school taught me. How to question things, how to draw conclusions, how to ask the right questions, how to draw the right summaries, how to develop a mind where you actually think for yourself and end up having a broader approach in life, because you're not just coming across whatever information, digesting it and running it with it. No, you're always able to apply objective, critical thinking, but also being able to really understand and see past certain things that people usually don't pay attention to. It's about really knowing how to think, how to use your mind, and how to digest information. Well-educated people, they know exactly how to analyze. Point number 8. Of course, there will always be a situation where we don't know something. But when a person is overusing the term, I don't know, that does come across quite uneducated. And I would personally avoid saying, I don't know, too many times. Instead, try and start again thinking for yourself and say something instead than just, I don't know. Because it's easy to be just like, oh, I don't know, and then you never kind of use your head, you never activate your brain. But even if you don't know something, you have have to apply a curious mind. You have to become little Miss Google and go and Google the things that you don't know, but you might wonder, what is the answer to that? That should be part of your repertoire as someone who is educated. You always Google things, you always seek out answers. You don't settle just for, I don't know. And even if you are, let's say, in a conversation where you truly don't know about the topic, then listen instead carefully on what the others have to say and really learn. I think always being attentive and learning and expanding your horizons is so important and really does signal when someone is well educated. Number 9. Now, me personally, whenever I meet someone who I know is oftentimes attending conferences, seminars, workshops, you name it, they come across incredibly well educated. Now, of course, we are talking about investing in your education, but many people think that, okay, I have finished college, university, you name it, I don't need to educate myself any longer on anything. Okay, maybe I read a little self-help book once in a blue moon, but that's it. I personally believe that no, you always have to keep educating yourselves, regardless of the topic, whether it is for personal reasons, for business reasons, it doesn't really matter. It's about always growing as a person. It's about always investing in knowledge. I'm so passionate about investing in yourself because you always get a return on your investment. So that's why when I created my program, Secrets of the Elite Woman, I really wanted the ladies to develop themselves so that they could reap more benefits in life, because there is so many things that we can achieve, but we don't tap into those things because we don't get that education that can take us to that level. And that's, as an example, what my program Secrets of the Elite Woman is about. If you want to find out more about this program, simply go to levelupsecret.com. In this program, I really do teach a woman the most essential things that you have to know if you want to level up as a woman, and especially if you want to position yourself and truly be a high-value woman. And one of those things, which is part of being an educated person, is to have correct table manners. And that's also something that I do teach in the program Secrets of the Elite Woman. And there are so many misconceptions about dining etiquette. There is a reason why it's so confusing and why there are so many different rules out there. People who are born into rich families, they're lucky that usually they're taught these things at home. Not all rich families, by the way. I have seen some bad table manners even from wealthy people. But if you are a regular person, you really need to invest in your education when it comes to table manners, because that is a big giveaway. Now, you know what's funny is that YouTube has this amazing thing called the algorithm. So it knows you inside out, probably better than you know yourself. So it actually knows what video you should be watching next. So I suggest you hop on over to this video and go watch it and let me know in the comments below. Did YouTube actually guess what you should be watching next, or did it not? I will see you in that video.